Oh my God. Has there ever been a video you've seen online that has absolutely captured your attention so much that you said to yourself, I need to try this. I don't care how or how long it takes me. I mean, for me, it was Erika, AKA the Pancake Princess, talking about a DC cake bake off and this coconut mango sponge cake winner she remade. Now, you know how sometimes, or maybe all the time, you just start flipping and flipping and flipping and flipping through the videos. And I really liked that video that she made. I like all her videos, but I found myself still thinking about what that cake would taste like and if it was even possible for me to put it together. Standing right in front of it, I know what you're thinking, but I could not find that short again. And I know what you're thinking, but this wasn't YouTube because that would have been too easy. Plus, I forgot what the cake or the video was titled or called, and I Googled coconut mango cake, but that didn't help. And then all hail the algorithm, the video short found me again, and I found my way to Erika, AKA the Pancake Princess's Substack. There is just something about this combination. The sweetness, the crispy, the crunchy, the creaminess, the nuts, the coconuts that captured my imagination and locked me in. So I had to make it. I had to eat it and try it. Except I knew I had to make it with passion fruit instead of mango. And lucky for me, my passion fruit vine has exploded this year. I have harvested over 100 in the last 3 weeks, with still more on the vine. Now, this cake is happening. You see it in front of you. I will test it. So I want to say a big thank you to Christina Scolaro at Chuck's Bakes, who shared this recipe with the Pancake Princess, Erika. And I hope you'll come along for the ride because you know what? It was a bumpy one.
Step 1, passion fruit curd. First up, there were so many components to this cake, I ended up prepping a few things the day before, starting with the passion fruit curd. To start, I needed to get about 2 cups of my fresh passion fruit pulp and scooping through about 30 of them. I couldn't use all that I had because I needed to leave at least some for my family to enjoy. I get about 10 ripe ones a day, but you can't take chances. They love fresh passion fruit too much. And I get passion fruit is expensive, so maybe getting a frozen package and blending it would have been best. Because after that, I strained it from its seeds. I lost about half the weight and volume. So I needed to add about a cup's worth of fresh mango to top it off, and I blended that together with the passion fruit. Then I got 4 whole eggs into a bowl with 4 egg yolks. You can make curd with just egg yolks, which will be very rich and yellow, but I'm already using passion fruit and mango, so it's already going to be very yellow. And one of the reasons I decided to use whole eggs, which gives it a more custard texture and taste, is that I wanted to maximize how much curd I would get from these passion fruit. I have made lemon curd before, and I'll link to that recipe below. So if you've never made it before, you can start there. It really is something special. Okay, so to the fruit puree, I'm adding 185 grams of sugar, but you can add more if your fruit isn't sweet, and all the eggs, and then I'm whisking it all together. I decided to give it a little squeeze of lime juice for good measure, but that's totally optional, and I don't know if it was necessary because passion fruit is fairly tart. Then you want to put this on medium to medium low heat and continue whisking. Do not stop whisking until it reaches 170 degrees Fahrenheit. With all the sugar and fruit, it's unlikely that this will turn into scrambled eggs, but you are basically trying to avoid that at all costs. That should take anywhere between 10 and 15 minutes, depending on the heat and how much curd you are making. But once you hit 170 degrees Fahrenheit, turn off the heat and then grab your cold butter, which is about 227 grams or an 8-ounce block, and cut it up into cubes. Start adding the butter cubes slowly, about 3 at a time to start, but you really want them to melt before adding new cubes. If you add too many at one time, it'll drop the temperature down too quickly, so that's why we need to add them slowly. Once that's completely melted, give it a nice stir and definitely strain it. It only takes a little time, but it is worth it. There were a few small burnt bits and very little wannabe egg parts. So now that I have a really smooth passion fruit mango curd, I'll let it cool down a bit, put it into a deli container, and into the fridge for the next day. Step 2, dulce de leche. Now the dulce de leche, which you can totally buy at the store. And to make it though, it is pretty hands-off, but it takes a while, a long while. Take a can of sweetened condensed milk with the label off and drop it into a big pot of water. You want to make sure that the water level is about 1 to 2 inches above the can. Then put the water to boil, which can take about 15 minutes, and then drop it down to simmer for about 3 hours. After 3 hours, turn off the heat and fish out the can safely and let it cool completely before opening. It will explode or pop and make a mess if you open up a hot can. This is why it's best to do it the day before, which I did. Step 3, feuilletine.
Right, to make the feuilletine, it's just very simple. It's just butter, and we're gonna cream that. All right, every once in a while, you wanna stop it to scrape down the sides. If it's softer when you put it in, it'll be a lot easier to put together, so don't rush this.
Add 60 grams of powdered sugar sifted to remove any clumps.
Trying to do it all in here to minimize mess, but here we go. It's working! Just give it a nice little swirl, get that all in. Just gonna be an adult about this and then sift it into a bowl like I should have in the beginning. Now with the sifted sugar in, we are just gonna scrape down the sides and then get it to a nice light white creamed sugar and butter mixture. Let's go. Took about a minute. I'm gonna add the egg, but I like to pop it first and give it a nice little mix so it's easily incorporated once it's in the mixture. Okay, I'm gonna scrape down the sides just so it's more incorporated. And while that mixes, I'm going to sift the flour, baking soda, and a pinch of salt. All right, you know it's fully incorporated when it starts to look like ribbons inside, ribbons of batter, if you will. And I'm gonna slowly add the flour. Just a little bit at first, so it doesn't splash into my face. Let's scrape to incorporate all the flour. I like to make sure that the flour's off the paddle as well, because sometimes that gets stuck there. Honestly, took just about a minute. It's nicely incorporated. It's soft, it's ribbon-like, and it's ready to spread out into feuilletine. So I'm told a silicone mat would be best, but I only have parchment. And what I did was I sprayed the corners with oil, not the whole thing, because I don't know how the oil will affect the bake, just so that it would stick down. And just make sure that you have no overhang because that could restrict airflow, okay? These things can bake really quickly, so we wanna keep an eye on it. Told that this is about 2 batches, so you're gonna need 2 pans to prep, but we're gonna try to scoop up as much as possible. Plop 50, 60 grams in the middle. There only seems to be a little bit left, but we're trying to get this as thin as possible, so use an offset spatula if you have it. Sometimes I'm a little tempted to use the big one, but in my experience, I just found that the small one was just easier to maneuver. So if you've done any DIY stuff at home, this is basically like patching up a wall. You want to spread out the dough as thin as possible. Shape really doesn't matter because it's all going to be broken up into little bits. I think I could scoop the rest on, I don't know, let's just do it. Let's just make it a one batcher. Throwing caution to the wind, making one batch of feuilletine. Here we go. Honestly, what you're making is like a super thin sugar cookie, and that you break it up and it gives this amazing texture, or at least I believe will give an amazing texture. I am really excited about this cake. Okay, we're gonna pop this into the oven at 350 degrees. The recipe that they use say 4 to 6 minutes, and then the Substack, Erika, said that it took a little bit longer. And in my experience last night, because I made a whole batch, it took about 9-10 minutes, so let's do this. Okay, better be safe than sorry. Take it out when you start seeing it being completely brown. There are some whiter spots. It just means that they'll be less crispy, but we're gonna let this sit in the pan for 10 to 15 minutes to crisp up, and then we'll break it up into small little shards for the filling later. All right, so while that rests, I'm gonna prep the 9x13 pan. Erika used the 9x13 pan, and the original contest winner made these 2 humongous cakes, I guess because they were feeding an army. So I'm gonna do what Erika did, but I am actually going to line the bottom with foil because this is a dark pan. And I read somewhere that if you don't want it to crisp up too quickly, just line the bottom with foil so it doesn't burn too much. And then I am going to generously coat this with baking spray. I'm not a big fan or really great at adding parchment, so you can pull it out really cool. Okay, so I am just going to go bananas with this. I'm gonna make sure that the oven is back to being preheated at 350, and I'm gonna make the cake.
Step 4, the sponge cake.
All right, to make the cake, we're using 113 grams of butter, softened. And to that, we are adding 113 grams of sugar, and we are going to cream the butter and sugar together until it's nice, white, and light, and fluffy. This is a half batch of the Nigella Lawson recipe. As per Erika, the Pancake Princess did only a half a batch. So let's get cranking. Okay, now that the sugar and butter are nice, white, light, and fluffy, we're gonna add 2 eggs. I like to pop them ahead of time, give them a little bit of mix. They say add the eggs 1 at a time, but I'm just gonna help this along. Very important to scrape down the sides. The egg isn't totally mixed in, but we're gonna add 1 to 2 teaspoons of vanilla. In the original recipe, the winner added coconut extract, but I don't have any, so I'm gonna use some of my bootleg vanilla that I made out of Kentucky bourbon. All right, as we scrape this down, I'm gonna add all the dry ingredients. I'm not sifting the flour like I did with the Feuilletine crunch that we're making that is now cooling. 100 grams of flour. I'm gonna add a little bit of that. And then this is 12.5 grams of cornstarch. That adds to the tenderness of the crumb. And then there's also about 1 1/4 teaspoons of baking powder. Yes, the entire recipe will be in the description. Okay, so just toss all that in there. And I don't want to forget a pinch of salt. Get that mixing, and I'll add the rest of the flour. If the batter feels too dry, they say you can loosen it up with about a teaspoon or 2 of milk, but this is looking pretty good. I guess it has to do with all that vanilla I put in, so bottoms up.
Nice little mix to make sure that there are no dry spots. And let's drop it in.
This looks tiny. Yeah, I don't even see how I can make a cake out of this. All right, I've never whipped up a second batch or a full batch of cake this quickly, but we did it. Mistakes happen, we can fix it. We're learning. Subscribe, like below. Hey, these things happen, all right. Look at that. That looks good. That looks good. Popping it in the oven for 20 to 25 minutes. I'm going to keep a sharp eye on this because I do not want it to dry out and burn. And
Step 5, the dulce mix. Now to prep the mix-in while the cake bakes. I'm rough chopping about a half a cup, maybe 3/4 of a cup of macadamia nuts.
I made a batch of dulce de leche. I made a double batch actually because I figure if it's going to be boiling for 3 hours, I may as well get as much dulce de leche. I still have an hour left on the batch that I'm showing you, so I'm going to crack this open and mix it in with nuts. And I'm not going to add this until the end because I do not want them to get soggy. I want to have them retain their crispiness. If I don't eat them all, oh my God. All right, moment of truth. Did I get the dulce? Oh yeah. I can't believe I just did that. All right. Oh my God, that is amazing. Add a whole can. They say room temperature. I took this out of the fridge about 30 or 40 minutes ago, so I would say that's pretty good and should be plenty of dulce filling. Yeah, that seems like a lot. Remember, there's supposed to be like a half recipe. I don't trust that anymore. I don't know. I'm just gonna make a whole heck of a lot and use, and whatever's left over, I will repurpose into cookies or something super delicious. Stay tuned for that. All right, I'm gonna give this a mix. I'm gonna continue waiting for the cookies. I'm sorry, I'm gonna continue waiting for the cake to cool down. I'm gonna cut them and then we will assemble it and put this magical cake together. Oh, I'm so pumped.
Step 6, whipped cream.
We are going to make a half batch of the whipping cream that goes in the cake, and I don't have any mascarpone. I hope I'm saying that right. So I got ricotta cheese and I'm working around that. So we're gonna start by whipping the ricotta cheese so it's nice and smooth. And then we're gonna add, basically half the recipe is about 226 grams of ricotta cheese, 2 cups of heavy whipping cream, and about 110 grams of powdered sugar, although you could add more sugar if you wanted a little more sweeter, and a little bit of vanilla extract. Okay, let's get started.
You want to start off by mixing up the ricotta cheese to break it up and whip it up with a little heavy whipping cream. While that's mixing, add a little vanilla extract, and while that keeps turning, drop in the powdered sugar. With all the ingredients in, just add the heavy whipping cream and let it whip up to stiff peaks. Step 7, cake assembly.
All right, so I have some thoughts and feelings about the cake. As you can see, it kind of cracked as I popped it out of the cake. Maybe I really do need to up my parchment game to lift it out. But Erika, the Pancake Princess, said that this was enough cake and she cut it in half, and it really is very thin. So I'm actually gonna cut it in half this way and make like a mini cake. But if I were to do it, I would make 2 versions or 2 rounds to make this a lot simpler. I was really excited to share this with my neighbor and kids, so I wanted to make sure that everyone was able to get a piece. So let's just do this. Ah! Okay, careful, no. Okay. I really think that getting 2 full sheet cakes would make this a lot prettier instead of stacking it and it cracking. So we're gonna start off with a layer of whipped cream. Oh, I have to say that the dulce de leche finally finished up. It took 3 hours with all the filming and all the components. That's why I did some of the components earlier by doing it a day before. But you just got to turn off the heat and then fish it out without splashing all that hot water everywhere. So let's get a nice amount of. My piping game isn't great, so I really don't want to bother. I'm gonna create like a little bit of a border so that nothing oozes out. We then add this nut dulce de leche, and we're gonna add some Feuilletine crunch. I'm a little nervous because I don't want it to lose its crunch. I'm just gonna add a bunch. And they say to gently stir. This looks very rich. Holy mackerel. Okay. Then we're gonna add like a thin layer of whipped cream just to protect this. Man, this is gonna be insane. I don't even know. They say to put a thin layer, oh boy, a thin layer of whipped cream. I think that feels thin-ish. Oh my God. Okay. Oh my God, I'm so excited about this curd. Oh my God, it looks so beautiful. A thick amount. Oh yeah, okay, let's just do a little bit more. I'm gonna just do this like this. Oh man, I'm really kind of sad that this broke, but it will all be hidden. Yeah, we just gotta piece it together. Uh-oh. We gotta put that like that. Dollop it with more whipped cream. Okay, that hides any cracks. Okay. No one will know. Oh, okay. You can't see this, but I'm gonna show it to you. The curd is oozing out the side. All right. I'm sure there are worse things that could happen. This is looking pretty good.
Once I finished assembling it, I decorated it as best possible with a few dollops of curd and some Feuilletine cookie. Then I did toast a little coconut flakes on the stove, as you can see, and I added that on top.
We did it. We get to taste it. I gotta take pictures of it. It's falling apart. That's amazing. It's collapsing under its own weight. It's like a black hole of deliciousness. I have cut myself a very generous piece. These are sort of the things that we put ourselves through when we're making YouTube videos. And let me tell you, let me just take my first bite. All right, I've been nibbling at individual components, the Feuilletine. It's been a while since I've had macadamia nuts. That is definitely an interesting nuttiness, but altogether, oh God, it's all coming down. It's so interesting when you do watch social media, how easy it makes it look. But I'm glad I just sort of tested it out for you right here and there instead of like perfecting it and then presenting it, which I can always do. The passion fruit curd is such a delight. I'm so happy it came from my garden. The middle dulce de leche, I don't think I put enough Feuilletine. I would definitely want to put more crunch. Make sure that there's definitely all those textures that I had expected. I love that I added the Feuilletine on top. The cake is incredibly tender and moist, although falling apart because of all the weight. That's on me. So I might reach out to Erika on her Substack. I want to say a big thank you to Erika and the Pancake Princess for putting on this competition, and for Christina Scolaro at Chuck Bakes on socials. So check her out. Check out Erika's Substack. Check out this recipe. It is definitely worth it, whether you make just the mango curd or even a lemon curd. But wow, passion fruit curd is phenomenal. I do miss the black seeds though. So I'm wondering if next time I make it, I just leave the seeds in for that added crunch and texture. And oh my God, I'm gonna pick up my kids early from school because they gotta eat this quick. If you have any comments, questions about ingredients or steps, let me know. Let's have the conversation. Like, subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.